2016.
How do the various relationships created at camps for people with disabilities benefit the campers in a social and emotional way? Through my own experiences and my research on social inclusions at summer camps for people with disabilities, I have realized that the key to a beneficial relationship at camp is the mutual respect, support, and inclusion given to all people no matter their ability. From my research, I have come to the conclusion that the social benefits of summer camps for people with disabilities stem from the vital interactions between two campers with the same disability, or between a disabled camper and a non-disabled counselor. Camp Shriver is a free and inclusive summer camp for children with and without disabilities. It is located on the campus of UMass Boston and has welcomed more than 900 students over its past 10 years of operation. The director of the camp, Mark Spoladoro, talked to me about why Shriver was created.
The campers, the students that we target, they're that population that there's not much for when it comes to summer programming. It's either an extended school year where they go and they work on their academics and make sure that they don't regress in the stuff that they learn, and there's really not an opportunity for them to make friends, to be social. And the way that the camp is set up, the kids that come to camp with a disability, they are so motivated just to be accepted and want to have fun, that the kids that don't have the disability, they end up getting more out of it than the kids with the disability.
That's awesome. The relationships created are what make Camp Shriver so special for people with and without disabilities. There are multiple relationships formed in a camp dynamic. Whether it is the relationship between campers or the relationship between campers and counselors, this group inclusion is what makes summer camps for people with disabilities so vital. I interviewed Shay Dawson and asked him about his opinions on camps for people with disabilities. Shay is a professor at Indiana University and is the creator of Bradford Woods, a recreational facility for people with and without disabilities.
Well, I think if you look at sociology, the way we make friends is through a term called homophily. And so basically what that is most people tend to gravitate towards people that are like them. And so people will become friends with people that are the same age and gender and interested in the same things, and maybe in the same faith or religion, or possibly in the same sport teams. Race and ethnicity come into that. And so it's important for kids with disabilities because they actually don't get those types of experiences that are rich in homophily. And so it's harder for them to make friends in the general society. And so those opportunities help them to accelerate those friendships and to feel totally accepted.
After hearing about the relationships formed at camp from Shay and Mark, I talked to Jennifer Pyatt, a professor at Indiana University, about her opinions on the relationships made at camps for people with disabilities and how her studies have related to this.
People with developmental or intellectual disabilities is overall most of their social support or friendships are paid medical staff and family. Just because they don't have those opportunities. So, and in the nursing research, gosh, there's been a couple studies even showing that people respond and actually better health outcomes if they have a strong social support network. It just goes for that internal motivation to live and get better and get healthier. So I think the social support is huge. And if you think just any of us, if we took away all of our friends and social support we had, it would be a pretty lonely life.
Yeah. Jennifer Pyatt and some of her colleagues created a study measuring how summer camps for people with disabilities promote social acceptance for their campers. They created a scale for measuring social acceptance. The social acceptance formula was used at the beginning of camp and read a 4.23 on the social acceptance scale. By the end of camp, the score was up to 4.46. The increase in these numbers shows the physical proof that summer camps for people with disabilities are beneficial for social acceptance and inclusion. Misericordia is one of the top inclusive homes for people with disabilities that provides a continuum of care and network services. The facilities are located right here in Chicago. Ann Maddock, the director of Misericordia's outreach programs, told me about the benefits she sees from the summer camps run at Misericordia.
There are campers who prefer to spend their time with their peer mentor, and there are campers who come. We've got a group of girls who are friends. They go to the same school, the same Chicago public school. Like, they kind of come as a group. So they might have like one peer mentor that's with them, but they like to hang with their own. So it's to me, it's very individual.
The relationships formed at camp, whether between campers or between campers and counselors, are the reason that people keep coming back. These vital relationships are what allow people with disabilities to fully immerse themselves in a fun and accepting environment. Inclusion is a vital aspect of summer camps for people with disabilities that allow campers to experience a fully supportive environment that is often lacking in a school setting. Only 13% of students with disabilities are enrolled in public schools, and less than 50% of these students are integrated in a typical class setting. In a summer camp, students are integrated up to 100% of the time.
Inclusion, throughout the country is different in different places. In the schools, inclusion might be 4 kids in a classroom of 23 kids, and those 4 kids might be doing their own work at a back table, and they consider that inclusion. Mm-hmm. To me, that's not inclusion. Inclusion is bringing everybody together using the model that we kind of set forth, where we're all working towards the same goal, we're all working on the same skills, we're all working together as a whole group. So, inclusion to me is everyone, regardless of disability, working towards the same goal.
The inclusive setting is nice because it helps to try to integrate kids to a real life situation where, they're going to be around kids without disabilities and be in the minority. Most of my research, or all of my research, has actually looked at camps for kids with disabilities where they're actually in the majority.
Okay.
And so I think those types of opportunities are really, really important because most kids these days never get to be around other peers that have the same disability. And typically they're the only one with their health condition in their county or their school, which can be pretty stressful.
Really, the biggest thing we found out from all of these kids is that the camp really had a profound impact on their social acceptance and their quality of life. And so the biggest thing, we had collected data on their health-related quality of life, and then also their social acceptance. And what we found out is just pre-post that when they were in these camp settings with kids with similar experiences, they just felt more accepted, more valued.
Inclusion recognizes and honors the fundamental value of each person. This is why it is so important that summer camps for people with disabilities have an inclusive setting. I talked to Nora Olson, the new director of Camp Jabberwocky, about her ideas on inclusion in summer camps. Camp Jabberwocky is the oldest camp for people with disabilities, located on Martha's Vineyard, and I am lucky enough to call it my home for 1 month out of every year.
I think the benefits include having more of a social life. I think, at our camp, a lot of the campers, sometimes they're the only person with a disability in their class or in their grade or something like that, and they, so it's great that they get to be in this full inclusion setting, but they sometimes don't even get a chance to be around other people with disabilities, and they don't sometimes get a chance, like they're in school but they're not really accepted, and like they're not really made to feel welcome as part of the community. So I think it's just a great place to make friends and have fun.
Jack Noer is the recently retired director of Camp Jabberwocky, and here he is illustrating why Jabberwocky is such a unique place.
My name is Jack Noer, and I'm the director here for the August session. The camp got its name. It used to be called the Martha's Vineyard Cerebral Palsy Camp, and that seemed kind of sterile, and Hellcat always liked the poem from Lewis Carroll. The Jabberwocky was one that she would get up and recite every year. There's a waiting list even for counselors to come. None of them are paid anything. So nobody's here except for to try and give the campers a wonderful, wonderful experience. It's pretty neat because in no other situation do you get the chance to work with people who are only motivated by love rather than by money. These parents are entrusting you with the most precious thing in the world, their child. And what that child says to those parents all the time is, when's camp going to come? So for those campers that come here, they look forward to it all year. And this is where they get to do all the kind of things that they look forward to doing in a summer camp that they haven't had the chance to do. So what we as the community here try and give these campers and are successful at doing is the best week or the best month out of their year. So that's what we're trying to do for the next 60 years. You know, Hellcat did it for 60 years, and here we are, and what can we do to make it go for another 60 years?
Here is Nora Olson talking about the relationships she sees at Camp Jabberwocky and how they are beneficial for the campers and for the counselors.
I think it really gives the people with disabilities who come to Jabberwocky a peer experience, even sometimes when it's not someone exactly their own age. I think a lot of times our campers are very isolated at home, and this is really a chance for them to get to bond very closely with someone who doesn't have a disability. And I just think the relationships between campers and counselors that get forged at camp are very much like, more like that of a best friend than that of like, oh, this is my job, I'm taking care of you.
Summer camps allow people with disabilities to create new and unique relationships in an environment without their parents or caregivers. The inclusive setting allows campers to feel secure while pushing them out of their comfort zones and testing their strengths. Without these unique opportunities, people with disabilities would be missing out on an experience that could change their lives.